Podcast. A new daily podcast. So look, this podcast is going to be on dealing with people who like anime. You know, this is going to be me talking about my experiences. Usually when I talk to a person, I'll meet them at a job or at a store. It could be the bookstore. It could be Walmart. And by bookstore, I mean like Barnes and Nobles or Second and Charlie's. Shoot, rest in peace to Borders. But it's just my experience of like what I be meeting, the people that I be meeting, and how they usually are when it comes to anime. So the first story I got is this guy at Fry's. I remember I was talking to this guy at Fry's, and I went to get a One Piece DVD because Fry's is the only place that I've ever been to, Fry's Electronics, that had One Piece DVDs. I think Best Buy might have some, but I'm not sure. I haven't been to Best Buy in a while. Best Buy does sometimes have like unique movies or whatever. But I remember I was at Best Buy and I remember there's this white guy I was talking to, and he saw me. He was basically, you know how there's like those people at the door, they check your receipt, and then you leave. So he was one of those kind of guys. And he was a white dude. I'm pretty sure he had long hair. And it's kind of funny now too, because this Fry's Electronics doesn't even exist anymore. So it just feels like this like weird, distant past that never even existed. That's how my mind sees it. But I remember talking to him, and he was like, "It's good to see a guy pick up something that's anime that isn't Dragon Ball Z." That's what he said, word for word. And I kind of just, I kind of smiled. I'm like, yeah, I really like One Piece. And he was a cool dude. Dude was cool. But he said that, but then he said something that had me confused. He was talking about Dragon Ball Super, and he was so hyped about Dragon Ball Super and was talking about how amazing Dragon Ball Super was. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, so you think that Dragon Ball Z ain't that good? Because he was like, man, Dragon Ball Z ain't that good, blah, blah, blah. But he was saying that Dragon Ball Super was amazing. He was like, oh my gosh, I love Dragon Ball Super. And my head was sitting, I was sitting there to myself, I'm like, nigga, you're watching a worse version than Dragon Ball Z. So what? I remember him saying that, me being so confused by that, bro. And then I remember he was talking about, he started going in on One Piece, even though he basically gave me a comment because he was like, man, like, it's cool to see somebody who's buying anime DVDs and it's not Dragon Ball Z. So he's throwing a shot at Dragon Ball Z. But then he was like, man, he was like, One Piece is so repetitive. He was like, they do the same thing in every arc. They just go to a new island and it's super long and they just fight a big bad villain and blah, 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 blah. Now, how I was pretty excited just to talk to an anime person, another person who likes anime, because a lot of anime people like to hide themselves, at least back then. I think I was 20. When I was 20, there was no big old giant TikTok where everybody was talking about how they're such a big anime fan, got 700 posters in the background. They're dressing up and cosplaying. I mean, I see grown men and grown women now cosplaying as anime characters. That wasn't something that existed like 5 years ago. I didn't see it. And if TikTok was around, I wasn't on it. So, now everybody loves anime so much. But it was just interesting to me because he took a shot at both One Piece and Dragon Ball Z. And both of these shows and mangas are better than Dragon Ball Super by a freaking landslide, by miles. But it was just funny how excited he was about Dragon Ball Super, but then how he was clowning the other two. I'm like, how are you excited about Dragon Ball Super? Dragon Ball Super, the thing about Dragon Ball Super is when it first aired, I thought it was hella good too. I had my like nostalgia glasses on, I guess. Or no, it was more of like I was waiting for them to, you know, make more Dragon Ball. I was just really in the mood of like, I want to see more of this story, because I just really, as a teenager, I was so into Dragon Ball Z. But when I got a little bit older, after I branched off from Dragon Ball, it was like I found the first anime I found was Hunter x Hunter, and when I seen that, I was like, bro, this is the best anime I've ever watched, and this is before people was talking about it. Everybody on TikTok, like I said before, now everybody on TikTok loves Hunter x Hunter. It's their favorite anime. Bro, 5-6 years ago, they wasn't saying that shit. I swear, you would talk to people, you'd be like, hey, you ever heard of Hunter x Hunter? They'd be like, nah. And I'm not gatekeeping or nothing. I'm freaking happy as hell that other people have watched it. But it's just always funny, when you ask people and they don't really know. Now, for him specifically, he actually did know because I told him, I was like, yeah. I was like, do you like Hunter x Hunter? And he was like, yeah, I've seen that one. And we kind of talked about the characters and stuff. And I was like, okay. I was like, W mans. Just because, I'm a big Hunter x Hunter fan. I really love One Piece. So I was a little annoyed that he was talking about One Piece. But at the same time, I was like really excited to be able to talk to an anime person out in the open that actually was talking back and not acting like a weird social outcast. And then I got happy when he was actually giving compliments to Hunter x Hunter. Because I was like, if you clown Hunter x Hunter, I'm just going to walk away because there's no way you think Hunter x Hunter is bad. People who say that Hunter x Hunter is bad is crazy to me. That's a crazy take to be like, Hunter x Hunter is boring. It's like a 3. That is a crazy take. Hunter x Hunter has 10 out of 10 animation. Even the 1999 one has 10 out of 10 animation, but the 2011 one has some of the best animation ever. And then literally the fights are good, the sound effects are good, the story is extremely interesting, it's really fun, really unpredictable. There's no way that you can really watch the show and be like, I don't really like the show. That's wild. That's a wild take. But I have heard dudes like hate on it and females hating on it, saying it's boring. They did like the first like 3-4 episodes or whatever. But that was one experience I had talking to an anime fan. And just to clear it up a little bit, a lot of the people I talk about when it comes to anime are usually white guys. There are black dudes I've met, and I'm not gonna lie, the black dudes are usually funner to talk to about the anime because they're not overly analytical. They don't analyze any and every little aspect of the anime show. That's a big issue that a lot of white guys have. They can't just watch something and enjoy it. It's like they'll literally destroy it, which ruins the show. But my experience, here's another experience I had with a black guy. So this one I met at my job. He's a little short little black dude, and he's cool as hell because we literally will sit on the phone for like 4 or 5 hours and talk about anime. He's a really big Naruto dude though, and that's another thing I realized is a lot of people get really obsessed with Naruto. That's like everybody's first, which is interesting because my firsts were like Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, you know, really heavy on the Pokemon though. And that was my first look into good world building. I argue that Pokemon has some of the best world building ever. It's very simple, but at the same time, it's so deep, vast, and beautiful. There's so much Pokemon you could dive, bro. You can dive into the manga. You can collect the freaking cards, man. It's so fun. You can watch all the movies. There's no way you won't have a fun time with Pokemon. That's how I look at it. And it's for all ages. So you can watch it with your kids. You can watch it with your wife if your wife is cool. You can watch it with your husband if your husband is cool. But me and him have had multiple conversations, and he's watched Naruto, One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, Black Lagoon. What else has he watched? Demon Slayer is one of his favorites. And we usually get very deep when we have conversations too. Like we'll break it down, and he's watched Black Clover a little bit, but we'll like break down every anime, but we never break it down and start hating it. That's the difference. Like for example, we were talking about Black Clover the other day, and we were talking about how Black Clover is obviously inspired by Bleach, it's inspired by Naruto, and it's inspired by One Piece and Berserk. You can literally see it in it. You can watch it and see that it's inspired by those things. Um, and we kind of talked about that. And then he told me that Demon Slayer feels kind of like Pokemon. He was like, I feel like it's like Pokemon. And I was like, well, why do you think that? And he's like, well, there's 3 main characters at the beginning, and they go on this like big adventure. And he's talking about Zenitsu and Nosuke and Tanjiro. And Nezuko is basically Pikachu. Nezuko is basically a Pikachu, bro. So basically he said it's because it's like that. And it's like I looked at it, I was like, yeah, you're right. because that's how I felt about Samurai Champloo. I felt like it had like a Pokemon vibe because they're always going to a new city and we're always meeting all these wacky, crazy, zany characters, and it's just really fun. It's just a fun ride. I think that I think Samurai Champloo is a really good anime if you just want to watch really quick. Um, but so far, me and him have had really good conversations about anime and even comic books too. I'm a very big comic book guy, even though I usually watch like YouTube videos where there's like these guys breaking down the comic books and they do like it's basically like a read along where they'll show like the panels from the comic books and the mangas and they'll just read and tell you what's going on while they show the panels go by. I love those guys. You guys are W's. Um, but yeah, we've even talked about Spider Man a lot because I freaking love Spider Man. I love Spider Man, Sonic, two of my favorite characters of all time. I love Ash from Pokemon. I always love Pokemon. Pokemon is just fun as hell. It really is, bro. I can't see anything basically in Super Smash Bros. You know is gonna be a good game. I swear, like or a good show or a good manga because they basically put all the cool all stars. I say they put all the all stars in Super Smash Bros. Like Kirby's an all star, Pikachu's an all star, the Pokemon trainer is an all star, Sora is an all star, Samus is an all star. Link is an all star, Zelda is an all star, Peach is an all star. Like they put all the amazing characters in Super Smash Bros. Especially Melee, which is my favorite Melee and Brawl. When Meta Knight came in and Sonic came in, I was like, oh yeah. Um, I do like it. I love fighting games, bro. One thing I love about Melee and I love about pretty much every fighting game is when they'll add in these random crossover fighting games. Is when they'll add in these random characters that you don't know. Like for example, I remember them seeing Melee and not knowing who Ike and Roy was. I was like, who are these guys? And Marth. Um, and I'm like, who the hell are these three guys? When I remember looking up and they're from like a video game called Fire Emblem and it was just interesting because they're just like these random swordsmen. I'm like, who the hell is these? I always love when they do stuff like that, bro. It's just really fun. Um, but yeah, so that's one of my experiences talking to a black anime fan. It's usually more enjoyable because they're way less analytical in a bad way, in a negative way, where they're just breaking it down, talking about how bad it is. Because that can get kind of old when you're talking to someone and it's just like everything they say is negative. It's like the people who try to like clown Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is not that damn bad, bro. Eden Zero is not that bad. Like they really aren't that bad, bro. People be going in on those animes so hard. I'm like, they're not even that bad. Like Fairy Tail is actually pretty enjoyable for like the first like 100 episodes, I would say. And then the Book of Zeref stuff gets kind of boring. I'm just not into the Book of Zeref stuff. But everything else was fun. Like meeting like the original Guild Hall master and all the different backstories were fun. But Zeref kind of just annoyed me. Um, but everything else I really liked. It just kept the show fun. I didn't really like like the weird stuff, and they're talking about what's her name? I think her name is Whitney. Whitney? It's either Winnie, Whitney. I think it's Whitney. Uh, I hate when they do like the weird stuff where they like talk about like an underage person's like body. That can get annoying. Like that is so unnecessary. We don't need that in there, bro. Take that stuff out. I'm not really a fan service kind of guy. I ain't gonna lie to you. Mostly because the characters that we're following are usually teenagers, so it's like I don't want to see any fan service stuff. It can be fun though if it's like a college chick or something, and it's for like half a second. But if it's like, bro, like 7 minutes long, bro, it's like, come on, bro. I want to see this, bro. I want to see the story, bro. When you get a little older, you don't really care about like the hot girl thing in the story. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of ruins the story unless they can make like the hot girl like a badass. Like I get burnt out of like just hella fan service. It's just like, you know. And the waifu thing, I got a couple of waifus. Nico Robin's a waifu. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like all you could cut out like 80% of the fan service. I'll be good. Um, but yeah, that's like my experience when talking to one of my black homies, and we actually became friends because he was cool. The first dude was pretty cool too, though. I'm not gonna say like he was like a horrible person. He was cool, but he was kind of contradicted himself a little bit and didn't really make no sense a little bit. There was a one guy I remember talking to about Pokemon, and I remember I was wrong about some stuff. And he's a Lyft driver. He's a white guy, glasses. Beer Belly has some kids. I remember we were talking about Pokemon, and he was like, one thing that annoyed me is when he was like, Pokemon's not an anime, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, hey, bro, oh my God. He's basically one of those dudes that have to be right about everything. Even if you're not wrong, you could be wrong, and it's like, okay, I can go with being wrong if I'm wrong. But it's like, if you're analyzing everything I'm saying, it's gonna get to a point where I'm just gonna not talk to you, bro. If you're like correcting everything I'm saying, that shit is annoying. So I remember like we were talking about Pokemon, and he basically was like, "You're wrong about this. You're wrong about this. You're wrong about this." And he was right about 60% of the stuff he was saying that I was wrong about, but then he was wrong about a few things. Like I remember I was talking about Pokemon Chronicles, and he had never watched it. But then he was like, "No, you're wrong about this and this and that." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" I was like, "But you ain't even watched the show. How you gonna?" Like he was trying to clown me all day. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Slow down, bro. You ain't even watched Pokemon Chronicles. You said you didn't watch it, bro." And then he was like correcting me about Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. And then what was it? It was something else we were talking about. We were talking about something, and then he was like gloating, like he plays Pokemon Go, the little phone game or whatever, and he was gloating because he has all these shiny Pokemon. So he's just like, yeah, look at this, like ha ha ha, and I was just like, okay, like he just like made me irritated. After I was like, bro, you're freaking annoying, and it's not even the correcting me thing, but it was the fact that he kind of looked like he was kind of getting off to that shit. He's one of those guys, like he just gets off to correcting people all the time, and then he's like gloating, and then he's like talking about sad, depressing shit. Like he's talking about, oh, my girlfriend was a hoe, and blah 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 blah, and my kids this, and I'm like, bro, you can't. There's a certain amount that a person can take when they're talking to you. Meaning, you can't correct a person hella times, gloat to a person, then start talking about depressing shit. That just makes you annoying. Like I'm just being honest. Like it's just like, bro, I thought that people are after a while just gonna look at you like, damn, nigga, like what the hell? Like, and he clearly has no friends. It's hella obvious he doesn't have no friends, but he kind of acts like I'm his friend because he kind of knows me because he's a Lyft driver and he picks me up a good amount. But it was just funny because this dude was just like, just annoying. Um, hey, it's kind of funny. Like if I'm giving our interaction, I'm gonna start doing that. If I'm giving our interactions a rating, I would say they're like fours. The interactions with him are good if you just don't talk and you just let him talk about all his BS or whatever. Then the interactions are pretty decent because you're not giving him anything to argue about. So I'll give it about a four. And if you don't talk, it's like a five. Cause it's like just let this nigga do whatever he's talking about and then just get out the car. Um, what else? There was something else he was doing that was getting on my nerves. Like, what the hell is that dude talking about, bro? Oh, he was arguing with me about some technical. It was so stupid, bro. And this is why I can't stand most people, bro, when they do this annoying shit. Is when they have to be extremely specific about what they're talking about. So, like for example, I think he was talking about GameStop, and there was a store across the street from GameStop. It was like a restaurant, and I basically named the restaurant. I was like, "Hey, you talking about blah 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 across the street?" Next, because I was trying to I basically said it like, you talking about the GameStop with the blah 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 across the street? That's what I said. And he was like, no, technically. He's like, but I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you're one of those, bro. It's people like that get on my nerves. Like, you know what I mean, bro. You could just be like, yeah, you're talking about blah blah blah. Like you ain't got to do all that. So he one of those niggas. Uh, and he was a white dude, glasses again, pot belly, kids, and everything I said he did, he literally did. And he made me kind of hate Pokemon for a week. But I ain't gonna lie. I was like, bro, this nigga kind of made me hate stuff that I like a little bit. I was like, I don't like those kind of fans, bro. Like, those kind of fans will ruin this shit for you. Like, it's okay. Like, the correcting thing, like him correcting me about stuff didn't bother me. That was fine. I was like, I ain't really tripping about that. It was all that extra stuff that came with it. Like him correcting me and then like laughing and doing. I was just like, this is what we about to do. And I'm like, this is why you have no friends, bro. And he had like two other friends, And I ended up meeting them because they were Lyft drivers, and they're like basically like nerdy dudes, kind of like him, and they do the same shit he does, where they like correct you every 5 seconds or whatever. And I was just like, I'm like, here we go, bro. One of them is cool though. One of them is cool, but he kind of talks over you a little too much. He's like a big dude with glasses. He's obviously older. He's like in his 30s. No, I think he's 40. But he's basically the same as the other dude. They're like close to the same age. The other dude, I think he's like 35 or something. And he's like 40. And they're like really cool. The other dude's cool, bro. That's my boy. He's like, how you been doing? Whatever, whatever. He does talk over a person a lot, but he's still a little cooler. Like he's a cooler dude. You could tell he's just talking to talk. You know what I'm saying? And he's just kind of socially awkward. So interactions with him, I give him like a 7 out of 10 because he's not a bad dude, bro. He's actually cool. The dude with the glasses, with the pot belly, with the kids is just freaking annoying. Like he's just like, bro, like insufferable. Like you talk to this dude, I can see he couldn't live with like his parents. Like I know when he was 18, they kicked him out because there's no way, bro. Nobody's about to sit there and deal with that annoying ass shit all day, bro. Hell no. Nah. Like when you're correcting somebody all day, every day, nah. People just gonna get tired of that and all that. Technically this and technically that. Technically you're annoying as hell, and that's why you ain't got no friends because people can't deal with that attitude all the time. And I don't want to say that all white guys have the attitude because they don't. There's some white guys that are like hood and cool. There's some white dudes that are laid back and cool. But even I've had conversations with the laid back hood white dudes, and even they are like, man, I can't stand those Poindexter ass uh, white guys and shit. They'll even say it with me. They'll be like, yeah, like I'm a white dude, but I can't deal with somebody who's like suburban white. I can't even be friends with them. Like exactly because it's just they're too analytical and they just overanalyzing everything, and it's always negative. It's always them talking negative, and they always have to be right about what they're talking about. And sometimes conversations can burn you out and tire you out to where you're just like, bro, I'm about to go take a nap. Like that's how bad the conversation. You're like, I'm about to go take a nap, bro. That's how it is sometimes with some people. Um, I even had a Mexican homie that was kind of like that. He's a cool dude, but he's one of those dudes who just corrects you like every single time you talk to him. I still give him like a 7 out of 10 when it comes to interactions because he'll like drive you home, buy you food if you want. The dude is like cool as hell when it comes to that. Good listener. But when it comes to like anime stuff, this nigga will go on Google and be like, well, actually, his name is this, or actually, his name is that. And you could pronounce it slightly different than he does, and he's about to sit there and correct you about it. Let's say you say Ichigo like Ichigo. He'll be like, actually, it's Ichigo. It's like, bro, can we not do that? Like, bro, I hate niggas who do that, but so many anime dudes are like this, bro, especially the ones online. Holy shit. The anime dudes online, bro, like, no. I cannot be friends with, like, none of them. Like, I'm not even trying to start no beefs with nobody, but it's like, bro, no. Because I just get burnt out of the guys who are like, technically, and then they go on this long, like, deep, detailed reason on why you're incorrect about whatever it is you're talking about. And it's like sometimes it'll be like 40% of the time they're correct, but like 60% of the time they're wrong. But they say so much stuff and they drain your energy so hard. I call them correction vampires. Cause it's like they will drain your energy so hard. You'd be like, God damn, bro, you still going? Like, God damn. Though technically it's this. Technically Lugia came out because of this in Pokemon and blah blah. It's just like, bro. And sometimes they'll even tell you stuff that's so obvious that you already said, but it's like they didn't like how you said it, so they try to change around how you said it. That gets annoying too, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I just read a message and it said One Piece is on hiatus for a month. That's good. Okay, Oda needs to be able to relax a little bit, bro. Real talk. Oda never gets to relax. This man be in the hospital bed, my nigga, and be working on One Piece still. Like that man is so dedicated. It's crazy. I'm like, give my man a break. Let this man go to sleep for like 2 weeks straight. This man has been working for, I believe, over 20 years. Let that man relax, bro. Let that man go to a spa or something. Don't you anime fans get mad at this man. This man don't deserve no disrespect at all. I swear. But yeah, man, that's a conversation I've had. What's another one? Um, it's just a lot of anime fans. A lot of the time when I have conversations with them, usually they're socially awkward. They're usually really rude. They usually have low self esteem. They usually correct you a lot. Um, I remember there was one, and they usually watch way more than I do. I've probably watched over 200 anime, but I'm not even close to like the anime elitist guys or the perfectionist anime fans. Because there are some dudes who have watched like over 3,000 anime. They can recite the characters, they can recite the animators, they can recite everybody in the credits section. They'll be like, oh, it was blah, 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 blah. Shida, somebody who did the freaking action scenes for this. Oh, that one actually wasn't him. This one was actually Ozaku, blah, 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 blah. And like they'll do it like that. And I'll just be like, bro, how do you know all this and how can you remember all of this? I can't remember like half of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I can usually remember characters' names when it comes to like One Piece or like Naruto because their names are just easy to remember. But some anime, bro, I can't remember none of that stuff, bro. Especially when I watch so many of them in a row. I watch like three in a row. I can't remember all that stuff. You know, a lot of them though, I found out study that stuff. Sometimes they'll have like a book open or they'll have their laptop open or their desktop open and they're literally studying the characters' names because they want to be able to prove you wrong. It's that serious. To me, it's not that damn serious. It's actually kind of wild how serious it is to some people. Um, but yeah, so usually it's they usually have low self esteem. They're usually socially awkward. They're usually super judgy. They're usually super rude. They usually analyze you too much and correct you all day. Um, they usually are very overly sensitive. It's literally like they'll try to clown you and correct you for hella long, and then you say something or you beat them at an argument one time. They might literally cry in the corner like it's that serious. It's like, bro, y'all gotta calm down. I can't. Even though I'm a part of the anime community, I'm really not. Hey, I might change my name to like um, Anomaly Man, Anime Anomaly or some shit because I'm like I'm over here, my nigga. I'm not a. I'm not a part of the canon. I just got done watching Across the Spider Verse yesterday. That movie's good as hell. But like for real, it's crazy when you meet anime people because they're usually not the nicest of people. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of them gatekeep. A lot of them will literally freaking talk over you to death. The guys and the girls. Because there's always this like weird, and there's always this weird sexist thing going on, especially on the internet. The internet has this weird obsession with being sexist to the opposite sex, and then acting like a victim. It's really freaking strange. Both men and women do it, and it's so freaking awkward, bro. Like you'll have dudes who are like, "Man, women are so mean to me," and they're like simping over the chicks who don't like them and all this stuff, and then the females are like, "Men are so mean to me," and it's just like, bro, like it's not that hard to be friends with each other, bro. People make it so overly complicated. And I realized that getting older is that people just love to start drama, be hateful, and freaking argue to death. Like, just the art of having a good conversation and being able to just vibe with somebody is dead. Just vibe. Because when you sit there, because back when I was young, you could talk to somebody and continuously talk and it didn't like irritate them or piss them off or they got annoyed by you talking for too long or whatever. Back when I was young, we would just talk, bro. And we enjoyed talking. Me and some of my homeboys, man, we would talk on the phone for like freaking 5 hours. It felt like it'd been 10 minutes. I used to talk to some females on the phone all night and all day. That's how fun it used to be back in the day. Man, I miss that too. That used to be fun because there was no weird. This whole battle of the sexes, love is war shit. This was a thing, but like it wasn't. If that makes sense. Meaning, like if you was just cool with a person, you was just cool with them. There was no, oh, this person sucks because they're a woman, or oh, this person sucks because they're a man, or whatever. There was none of that. It was like you just had fun. You just enjoyed vibing, you know. And I think it has to a big thing it has to do a, a, a a big reason why it's different now is because for one we're adults now, so nobody wants to put in a lot of effort to have like a friend now, and then it turns out that your friend's gonna turn on you, whatever, whatever. Even though when we were children, your friends turned on you continuously. Most people was fake when I was a kid, and it really hasn't changed now. But it sucks because there is no genuine people, there is no honest people as much as it used to be. Like now, you have to go look, you gotta search, which sucks Because back in the day, it used to be fun. You know, it just be fun. You could just kind of vibe, and you know, you just found people who were just cool. They weren't perfect, but they was cool. You know, it just is what it is. But I don't want this video to be too long. I like to keep my videos like under like 40 minutes. I don't want to do a 40-minute video. 30 minutes is usually pretty good. Um, but this is another daily podcast for y'all. I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace and blessings.